Do nothing all night for a ton of OT. Yep, why not? Little bit of backstory. I worked at the time in an oil change place. They had recently moved managers from salaried to hourly because some managers in different cities were just lying and not going to work while getting the same check every payday. And I warned them that if anything, my pay was gonna go way up because I'm here a lot more than 40 hours a week. They were good with that, they said. Well, one night, I get a call at 7 p.m. 2 hours after close from one of my guys who was in the shop after hours without permission and crashed into a bay door like a garage door. All auto shops have at least a few. He got fired. That's not the MC at all, just set up. So I came in and investigated. The most relevant fact here was that he bent the door so there was a maybe 4-inch by 4-inch gap. A house cat could have squeezed through. I called our door repair guys immediately. They said their folks were on an emergency after hours. Call already to somewhere 5 hours away. They could be there in the morning. I said okay, since this wasn't a danger, the door was in a place not visible from the street. You'd have to be behind our building. Looking for this to find it. Alarm still sets, motion detectors still work. Anyone that broke in through this metal door with a 4 inches gap would have needed tools and was gonna get in even without the gap. We don't even keep more than $100 cash around. And anything expensive to steal was equipment bolted to the floor. Deal with it tomorrow, right? Obviously, no. Called my boss to fill him in, and he said to call the door guys. I told him I did already and tried to explain their situation. He interrupted and told me in super rude and loud words. This dickhead did not like being called after work or having to do any work ever, just to call them and not bother him again about it. Then texted me to rudely say that I better damned well stay there until they arrive and finish the repair. So, since I was single, had no plans, and was now paid hourly, I clocked in the instant I arrived initially. I decided this sounded like easy money. Pulled up to comfy office chairs to make a bed. Couch, watched YouTube, and did assorted internet scrolling. Slept at normal times pretty comfortably all the way to 8 a.m. They showed up around 9 and fixed the problem pretty quickly. I was already on my regularly scheduled 8 to 5 shift that day, which I finished, so now let's do the math. That overnight waiting, 7 p.m. to 8 a.m., 13 hours. All owed at time and a half. Then my normal shift, 9 hours, all at time and a half, so 22 hours asterisk 1. 5 equals 33 hours of pay for doing my normal shift. Plus internet scrolling and napping that was barely even an inconvenience. My boss sees it come payday and tries to give me a yelling over email for trying to rip off the company, CCing all the big bosses, HR, payroll, etc. I reply to all, explain the situation, include the text screenshot. Suddenly, I'm not the one getting yelled at anymore. And I got every bit of that OT pay smiley face. What you guys advise for OP situation? And what would you do if you're on his or her place? What's your opinion or advice for him, her? Let me know on the comment. Now here's are some comments from our community. And what are their own opinion for OP? From Fizzlefist, and this is why you always get it in writing. Next is from Yaliswag for 2069 nice. Amazing how fast they start lying when they learn how stupid they are. From Somber_Shark. Almost 3 shifts worth of pay for 1 shift's worth of work? I hope you got yourself a nice dinner for that. And here's our next story. I got rid of them, boss, just like you asked. Short and simple one today. Shouldn't need a TLDR hopefully. This took place where I work at a funeral home. We had several sets of straps for our lowering device, the thing that slowly lowers a coffin into the ground, and orders came from one of the managers to get rid of all the sets we had as new ones were coming in. I tried to protest that the new ones had arrived and were already in rotation, but was ignored. Gather up all the straps and get rid of them. Sir, yes sir. Initially I was instructed to throw them out, but I asked to keep them instead. I was told that they had to leave the premises, one way or the other, so I took them and gave them to a friend of mine for safekeeping. A month later, I have that same manager come up to me asking how many sets of straps we have. I reply with none. He asks about the new ones that had come in. I inform him that they left the premises a month prior, as per his instructions. He flies into a panic and is about to berate me for throwing them out when I tell him to relax. I can bring them back in. Bring them back in the next day, no harm and no foul. Certainly bruised that manager's ego a bit and made him think about what he says next time though. Edit, grammar. So what you guys advise for OP situation? And what would you do if you're on his or her shoe? What's your opinion or advice for him or her? Let me know on the comment. Now here's are some comments from our community. And what are their own opinion for OP? From Shanghailos, don't forget ask for things in writing, always. Especially when it's a dumb decision. Next from Kodurjo1, stupid is as stupid orders. And lastly Puncherks. Bruised his ego, but he hasn't learnt his lesson.